Disappointing movie of the year. Biggest disappointment. Easily.
Definitely.
Drop it. Dropping it like it's hot.
Drop that, Mike.
Atomic Blonde. Biggest disappointment of 2017.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I guess it was sort of expected because 2017, as far as movie going is concerned, has been pretty solid all around.
I didn't think this was going to be where it...
Yeah. I mean, like, it was bound to happen. Like, we keep seeing good movies, or at least better movies than we've seen over the last 2 years we've done this show. And we see Atomic Blonde come out based again on an independent comic, you know, like last week's movie.
Yeah.
and
it's movies also that surprise you with how good they are, and movies that are good in ways you didn't expect to be good.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah. And,
but like, I think this is wholesale.
This was just. This was shit.
It
was shit with a few good fight scenes, a few good moments, and then just boring, up its ass, completely.
I can't call it shit. I mean, I'll call it disappointing with you. Easily the biggest disappointment of the year, possibly of all of Sage Versus. I can't remember any movie we've previously done on Sage Versus where we went in with actual I wouldn't say high expectations, but with good expectations, and to be let down so thoroughly.
I was really pissed off at this movie.
Yeah, this is a movie that will piss you off if you're. I mean, if you've seen if you're seeing the trailers for this movie, you're expecting like this high octane action movie, and you're not going to get it. It's a spy procedural movie with occasional bits of stylistic action scenes. It's like if Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy got turned into Crank for like 5 scenes, and then just went back to Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Except that you didn't even get Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. You got something that was trying to have that much layer to it, and you know, it just turned. Really, what it was a very simple plot that was edited and chopped up and rearranged, and just very, you know, kept very obscure, so that you couldn't figure out what was going on just because they didn't give you anything to, you know, it took itself way too seriously for a movie that had, you know, this 80s track going throughout the whole thing, full, you know, volume, but really, the soundtrack was just there to cover up how boring this movie was.
I knew we were in trouble when the very first scene of the movie is them setting up Charlize Theron to basically tell everyone what happened the 10 days earlier. Nothing takes me out of a movie like a frame narrative like that. Yeah. Just start, you know, it's like Morty and, you know, Rick and Morty. Like, I think we should start where the story starts.
Yeah, but, you know, you can still do that, though, and have a good movie. It's just, this was not that. And
you needed to have, it's a spy movie, but it kind of doesn't have a story that, you know, like, it has a spy story in the sense that, like, somebody's doing something they shouldn't be doing, but yet this is needlessly convoluted story about, like, somebody has a list, but on that list is a double agent that for some reason, like, first of all, where did this list come from? Like, how did they know?
Who constructed? How was the list constructed?
How is this list constructed? Who found out this information? Why is this guy who apparently stole this information, why is he the only person who knows any of this?
He has it memorized,
Yeah, he has the list memorized just as a failsafe, I suppose, to keep himself safe. But this doesn't go into the, like, all right, how is this information gathered? And
it's just it tries to be complex by keeping things away from you and not letting you. I think that's like, okay, that's movie making, but like this isn't. But this they don't clue you. They don't give you like little things and clue you in. As far as I could tell, it was just mostly like. I mean, I kind of knew what was going to happen the whole time too. And it didn't really surprise me in the end, even though they had some kind of, you know, slight, oh, is it going to be, she's going to turn out to be double agent, triple agent, whatever.
Whatever. Yeah.
And they go through those motions, but it just it didn't surprise.
Like you're expecting like every turn that comes the movie's way, especially when it's trying to hammer home like this is a spy story. Like everything is lies. Everything is lies because they are spies. You know?
Also, you don't care.
Oh yeah.
I mean, at least I didn't. I was not invested in the characters, any of them.
Yeah, like, but that's where I think a lot of disconnect comes from spy stories, because the whole precedent of a spy story is built and predicated upon lies and fiction.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get invested in something that you're not even sure you're like. Why am I going to waste my time with some emotional investment in a character who is just not going to, who is presented right now as the hero, but could easily be the bad guy halfway through the movie, because that's just how that kind of narrative is.
And the way you get attached to them is, by seeing things, personal stuff about them, getting to know their personality and their quirks and stuff, and getting to be attached to it to the point where you don't really mind so much if they, do a turn in certain situations where the movie calls for you to be behind them. You like those characters, like no matter what they end up really doing in some of those movies. But
part of the reason why you can't really get yourself invested in the character is that Charlize Theron is so stone cold lifeless in this movie.
Yes.
She's the prototypical emotionless killer.
She played it way too cool.
Yeah, like constantly she every scene she's in, she looks like she actively does not want to be there.
Yeah.
And that completely deflates any kind of investment that you can really get with the character, because if you don't want to be there, then why should I want to be there?
Yeah. It's hard to get behind the character and have, empathy for her, and when she's just behind sunglasses most of the time, and does not have any facial feature, doesn't change her facial features like really whatsoever, except for very, very, very few points.
Or like when she's in pain, and
like when she's in pain from a blow or something, and
when she's like angry, like she only has like two expressions: pain and anger.
Yeah.
And up until like the very end of the movie.
Like at the very end, she smiles, I guess, at a certain point.
Yeah.
Because I can't forget what it was like.
We'll save that.
Finally had her moment. And,
we'll save that moment for the spoiler discussion later. But yeah,
it's very. It's like on one hand, I get that's the character. I get that stone cold killer, spy, everything, but for some reason it just didn't work, and I'm trying to really, really figure out why. There wasn't enough action scenes, I think, for a character who's that much of a badass, who is above everybody and doesn't show emotions. I expect that person. I get behind characters like that a lot when they show why they're that way. Mm-hmm. When we see the machinations, the things that made them that way might help, or maybe I'm reaching for something here.
Yeah,
and I don't know why, but I just can't enjoy it.
Yeah, it's presenting the idea of a character. It's like Boba Fett's. It's Boba Fett syndrome. Like we think Boba Fett is cool because we don't know anything about him, and like he was the one who bested Han Solo, and Han Solo was the smoothest guy in the galaxy. So Boba Fett must be freaking awesome. But the thing is, Boba Fett was never the main character, nor was the story really explicitly about Boba. So there was always that intrigue. He wasn't supposed to be the focus, and then we still don't know anything about him. Then all of a sudden, Boba Fett would be a terrible character, which he kind of is.
Yeah. I mean, this is the same director who did John Wick, right?
I would.
That's what I was told.
I think so. Correction here if needed.
Okay.
But and you could see that. Like you could see the action. Yeah. Like when there were action scenes, they were all well directed and choreographed wonderfully. Yeah. But there just wasn't enough of them, and there was just not enough. Happenings to tie those scenes together. So there's
I can't compare, and also I can't compare her character, Charlize Theron's character, to John Wick.
No, you can't, because John Wick has motivation.
Well, yeah, you know from the very beginning of the movie is seeing what happened with him and his wife and his dog, and even though he doesn't really have much emotion showing through a lot of scenes, you know. But we're
like,
talking
about Keanu Reeves, but
and even that, so it's like, okay, so why do these both don't show a lot of emotion? What makes his character work? What makes hers not? And he has huge motivation.
yeah, he has a motivation that the layman can connect to. It's like, I too would want to kill that guy if he killed my dog.
Yeah.
Help.
Charlize Theron's character, Atomica Blonda, I don't remember, what was her actual name?
It was something like Teresa, something like that.
After that was her real name.
Yeah.
But
The point being that
she had no motivation that was personal. It was all business.
And you could make the argument that, like, that's all the motivation her character really needed, but she also needed to be a character. Like, not only, like, both John Wick and her, went through extremely brutal fight scenes and went through big moments of pain, but John Wick also had not only had the motivation,
yes,
but there were times when he wanted, like, because of his motivation, he wanted to be everywhere he went. Mm-hmm. And he needed, and like, he was always on the hunt.
Yeah.
So, like, his motivation gave him purpose, and his purpose informed the character. Charlize Theron had a purpose, but she was always seemed like she was acting against it. Like, she's after the list, but she's also after this target here, and like, well, we'll put him on the back burner. We're going on a list, but for some reason, even though we're going on this list, I'm going to this one nightclub here for some reason because we need to introduce Charlize to Sophia's character in order to get that
that nice lesbian
to get that going. So that's like
Don't get me wrong, it was a nice scene.
I mean, like, we're gonna claw out our eyes to see Sophia and Charlize kissing and writhing. I mean, like. But again, it's because the plot meanders and goes off on these tangents that don't really correlate to anything, or it just leads to dead ends. Yeah. So, like, her motivation just is lost in the plot, and with her character drive is kind of tied to this professional motivation. It doesn't help that, like, she actively does not want to be there, and she looks like in every single room she's in, she's just like, you're wasting all my time.
It feels like I'm doing this ironically.
Like, like,
she's a hipster spy.
He's like she's a spy. I mean, like, the last thing she needs to be is sincere, but sincerity grabs onto people's attention.
Yeah,
and detached.
Maybe at the end of the day, it's more simple than I'm making it out to be. Mm-hmm. And what my problem is all of the countless moments of her sitting in a chair smoking a cigarette.
Yeah,
doing nothing.
And just
looking at a photograph or just into the distance, recounting. It's just and droning on with very, very monotone lines that are just not really, not nearly as clever as the script seems to think they are.
Oh yeah, that script. The script had, like, I don't know what it is with the director, like, where he got right with John Wick's 1 and 2. You know what it is? John Wick 1 and 2, sincerity. That's what you can. That's the main difference between the two. John Wick had sincerity. Atomic Blonde doesn't.
I feel terrible because I wanted this so bad to be good.
Yeah.
I had been told, like, female James Bond movie. It's going to be awesome. This is going to be a first, and it's just like, oh man, why do I have to not like this movie as much as I do?
This is... I think at this point we got the point across that this movie is a huge disappointment. So if you don't care about spoilers, if you don't care about...
It really was at this point, just giving you the guy in the very back of the theater yawned. Like,
several people yawned and just
several
like,
people, I guess
and...
it was yawned. Like, one guy yawned 3 times. The person in back of me was tapping their foot many times during scenes that were not going anywhere. Or just like, come on. Just multiple people left during the theater, and it was already a very, very empty theater.
Yeah.
And this was theater 12,
the biggest theater.
The biggest theater on the not Thursday midnight showing, but the next day. So the actual showing day.
Like the one they expected to do the most business, they put it in the biggest theater,
and it was very empty. I don't know. Maybe I didn't look at the reviews or anything like that because I didn't want to. but maybe they did.
Yeah.
Maybe I haven't yet checked Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that. Or
it's it's a rough space. It's just a rough space. So, if you guys don't care about spoilers, continue on with us. However, if you do care and you still want to see this movie, this is where we go into spoiler territory.
And don't get me wrong, there's some great action scenes.
Great action scenes, but I'd say wait until they upload them to YouTube.
Yeah.
It's not. It really isn't worth it.
The trailer shows you pretty much everything that's going to happen.
Yeah, part of the reason why I hate hating this movie is that when I knew during the towards the end of the movie when they went into their own little version of Hard Boiled during that one action shot,
the continuing
the continuous shot,
camera,
continuing following
chase cam,
the chase cam. Even though there were obviously points where they masked a transition. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Like when a character suddenly, turns around in front of the camera to basically do a wipe. You can hide a transition fairly easily and that's probably why they did that. But even with that said, this is it's still a great set piece moment, and it reminded me a great deal of stuff like the Raid 2, especially during that last guy who just would not die.
That was good.
I
thought that was where the movie was going to start. I was like, oh my god, the movie's becoming a movie. It's picking up. We're doing things. Things are happening. We care. We're invested. And I know that all this plot can lead to something. I know it can.
And it really doesn't. But it's but an hour and a half in, that's when the movie gets good.
Yeah, and that's where she starts, being Atomic Blonde and kicking ass. And
yeah. I mean, it's not like that was the only scene too, because every so often when you get that hand-to-hand fight scene, you would get stuff like their own little love letter to their own little nod to Machete with the whole getting, even though she didn't rip out a dude's intestines and then just trapeze into another floor, she tied a garden hose around a dude's neck and then just basically hung him while he did it. It's okay, that's good.
But the music really ruins the mood for me.
Oh yeah, every single action scene.
And that's what sucks, is because I actually really like the soundtrack on its own.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, actually, I've probably heard some of the songs a little too many times to put them on my iPad. Because this is what I grew up with.
Yeah, this is the music choice is prototypical 80s again.
Yeah, and they even had Cat People putting out a fire
Cat People from David
opening
Bowie
song.
Yeah.
For the credits and everything, and it was like I was like, oh my god, I'm really gonna like this movie. And it's like they really know. They know how to get me in there, and
then all of a sudden the shuffle playlist turned to oh my god, really? We got to hear Der Kommissar was on
for
no reason other than hey, it's Der Kommissar.
Yeah, George Michael's.
Oh yeah, The End of Time. Oh no, Father Figure. George Michael's father figure.
In case you ever wondered, not a very good fight song.
No, even though they tried to punctuate it with punch to the end of time.
It didn't work.
Nah,
it did not work.
One guy just cackles oh, this is the shit when that happened. And
you're trying to sell this totally badass scene that is a badass scene on some
with George Michael.
Yeah, come on. I know that this is in 89?
Yeah, 89.
Berlin Wall, and it's I get it. I get it. I get it. It's stop now. Can we have some scenes without this?
A London Calling.
It's good music. I know 80s had some good music, but come on, man. This is not working.
Hey, it's a story set in 80s Germany. Do you think they're going to play 99 Sieg Luftballons?
Yep. Peter Schilling. Gotta play Peter Schilling.
I don't know, I guess to I don't want to say untrained ear, but I guess to people that aren't as versed into the 80s new wave scene, maybe it wouldn't necessarily come off as overplayed and trite, but
this is I listened to that music over and over and over again growing up so much, and I still love it. I know it's good, but I've heard it enough times by now that I'm kind of okay.
I would, if they went even further around the block to overplay, if they put on Bronski Beats Runaway. Bronski Beats, wait a minute. No.
Small Town Boy,
Bronski Beats.
I would be thinking about the message there. Because
I know.
Have you seen like the music video?
Yeah.
What the song's about?
Oh yeah, I know
everything. And
yeah, I know what that song.
Yeah, so I'd be thinking, huh?
Like
I
know
wonder where this is going.
I know, right? Exactly.
Huh.
But it was obvious that they didn't necessarily care about what the meaning of the songs were when they played it, especially when like the movie. Except what
for Voices Carry.
Except for Voices Carry, but when they end the fucking movie with Under Pressure, yeah, like
this is 80s music. Under Pressure.
I don't know, which is actually weird. Like,
and Flock of Seagulls ran so far away during a scene where they're trying to escape. There was some pretty on the nose stuff there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was
like punch to the nose stuff there. Just twice actually they did Voices Carry to cover up to do a was it what's it called when you cover up the private conversation so that the people bugging you
yeah, like they were just drowning out. They were drowning it out.
Yeah, drown out scenes. They twice played, or a few times played Hush, Voices Carry. I was like, I get it. You're not clever. You're not clever.
No.
Stop it.
And what's more confusing about the direction is the choice to have like several of these characters, everyone from Charlize Theron to James McAvoy, just narrate directly to camera under the guise that they're actually talking to an actual character that the camera doesn't see, but speaking directly to camera.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's not like what James McAvoy has to say, but right before he's killed has any real doesn't have any importance, when it does, thematically. But it just seems to come out of nowhere. It just always seems to, like, you know, in our line of work, you know, knowing what side you're on is like...
The fourth wall scenes were so pretentious and up their own ass.
Yeah, especially since it doesn't really, like it just came out of nowhere. And, like, you're gonna do this now?
He's literally doing that right as she's got a gun pointed at him. It was like I guess it was a nod to theater, stage performing, and like, this is the part where I die, and this is where I give my monologue, and
this is where I get to act.
This is where I get to. But the thing is, it's not a consistent theme throughout the movie. So when it happens, it's like
I mean, like if it were like whenever if they had to use that goddamn frame narrative of having Charlize Theron just give back her summation of the events, and had it so that she's always, you know, looking to camera when she's, at least it would be, you know, more massaged.
But she only does it like once or twice.
Yeah, it's
very briefly for about. She stares at the camera in a certain scene for about 7 seconds, just dead into it. Then there's like no more breaking the fourth wall scenes. There's no more. Until his part at the end where he does it, and it's just like this is so just
disorienting and just so attention calling.
Yeah, and the I love Berlin. See, just like, what the fuck are you trying to? What does this have to do with
anything?
What is this writing really?
Like the script is one of the more like it's one of the more clueless scripts as far as dialogue is concerned. I mean, lines that might have been cool. Actually, no, though. There wouldn't have been any way that were cool. Like it's filled with lines where Charlize Theron says in monologue monologues like, you know, that part in the film where it slows down in the celluloid, as it actually slows down in the celluloid as it burns away into the transition to Charlize's face. It's like attention, like that transition didn't need to happen. That line of dialogue did not need to happen. And
that's what Berlin's like.
Yeah, it's like, that's what Berlin's like. How is Berlin like that?
And what he says at the end is the guy at the end, the turn villain.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was Percival.
Yeah. McAvoy. Yeah.
So what he was saying was pretty much summing up to, like, you know, it's really cool to go and like be a double spy, and you know, what was it?
To be a double agent, you know.
Well, what was it? It's even more enjoyable when it's a twice betrayal or something.
Yeah, like you said, like it was just like double agent.
What he was saying was just garbled sums up to like, I'm a spy and it's fun and I like being in Berlin, and it's just like, you said that in such a long convoluted way of just saying that you like the spy business and you like doing it in Berlin.
Yeah, like when the movie goes off on a tangent, so to establish Charlize Theron's contact in East Berlin, where where she has to go through a theater showing freaking Stalker.
That was, oh god, that moment.
Yeah.
How appropriate.
Yeah, like I think we've gone on before about how Stalker, we both of our experience with Stalker.
She goes through. Yeah, there's just movie posters everywhere. She goes into the theater, breaks through the screen where they're playing Stalker, and you see you can hear the actors in the movie doing their bits and everything, and see that.
Like we could see Stalker playing in the background.
It was just so appropriate, actually.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, like she escapes somehow. And, she's talking to one of the Skarsgårds. I forgot which Skarsgård it was.
Yeah, not Alexander, but the other...
Not Stellan, not Peter. Was it Peter? Or
I can't remember.
One of the Skarsgårds. And just say, yeah, I'll be your contact in East Berlin. And then, like, the big reveal is that, oh, he's an actual ambassador. Like, who gives a shit? That's all he does. He's just a means to an end as far as the plot is concerned. So there didn't really need to have this entire, like I said, this digression to go into East Berlin for this. Can't we just know that she has a contact in East Berlin?
Yeah.
I mean, we've already used that many a times with other characters in this movie. Can't we just say, hey, he has a contact in East Berlin, and it doesn't matter if he's an ambassador or not. Who gives a shit? The story's not about him. Like, fuck you. Like, let's clean this story up and just get rid of a lot of this shit. Especially at the end of the day, it wants to be the spectacle action scene, a la John Wick, but the spy plot just keeps getting in the fucking way of it. And more to the point, like the biggest letdown of this entire movie is like how the most annoying, I should say, not the biggest letdown, but the most annoying thing is that, like it suffers from Return of the King syndrome, where it felt like it had 4 or 5 different endings. Like, when Sophia gets offed, you thought, like, well, and McAvoy says about getting away scot-free. It's like, that would have been a good ending. I would have loved this. I would have liked this movie a lot more if that was the ending, if McAvoy just got away.
This movie was not going to come out really good for me, no matter.
But I would have respected McAvoy. I would have respected McAvoy surviving and just getting away. Because, because like
I wouldn't. That would mean there's probably gonna be a second movie.
Well, that would have been. I don't know. Judging by our audience turnout, that might not be the case.
Yeah.
Then again, the theater for Valerian was actually pretty strong for our showing of it, and then it bombed in the office too. So don't take our sampling size as indicative of the national attitude towards it. But going back to like when McAvoy was talking about like how he it's great to get away, and after killing Sophia, you're thinking okay and while he's talking directly to camera, you're thinking he got away. You know what? Why not? I don't care. It's very much Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. They're like, yeah, it don't matter. None of this matters. None of it matters.
I wanted to enjoy this movie. I really did. I did not want to have to come out here and. Mm-hmm. I mean, and like, I'm sure there's significance to some of the dialogue they had, or his monologue at the end. I'm sure there was. There was. I want to believe there was something to it that I missed, and I'm just a Dumbo. But
no.
But from what I saw, it was just a whole bunch of bullshit to just say something that was really, really, completely not deep. It was just very. No,
it's all worn territory we've been through.
Yeah.
But as soon as that monologue goes away to show that it's actually Charlize, cornering him in an alley and just shooting him, and then it's revealed that, oh no, she was the double agent all along, and she's actually a Russian agent. And then she has that line where basically her superiors are just trying to close the case and everything, and she just looks at right to one of her handlers and says, what should I wear to Buckingham Palace? And then the music kicks in.
To have tea with the Queen.
To have tea with the Queen. As the music kicks in, I thought that was going to be the end.
Yeah, me too.
But no, we continue on.
It's like getting the ending to Lord of the Rings without a good movie first.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden she has to take care of the Russians. And, saying like, no, I was never a part of your plan to begin with. Oh, for fuck's sake, please. Like, so she wipes out the Russian influence after the wall came down, which kind of feels, I don't know, that kind of lacks thematic weight.
Especially with the beginning, they said that, in '89 Berlin, the wall goes like, and then they say cross out. This is not that story. But it is.
But it is.
How is it not that story? I mean, maybe it wasn't specifically about how that happened. Maybe it was. This is about its own little offshoot story, but like
a story you weren't meant to hear. Like if it was framed in that perspective.
But it sounded to me from the beginning they were crossing out history and saying this is not that story.
But it is that story. This had nothing to do with Ronnie Reagan. This had nothing to do with. Or, just because he was the president of the United States and the American government and CIA was involved doesn't necessarily mean that the story, Ronnie Reagan going, Gorbachev, tear down this wall, is completely independent of what's happening in the story. So, it turns out that no, Charlize isn't an agent for the Russian government. She's an American agent who was adopted into the Russians, who was sent her to Britain.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, fucking.
But if I cared, then that would have been interesting. I just didn't care, though. The whole time, she's just, I could be this, I could not be. I could be this, but I could not be. It's just, spy things. Just, God.
Not nearly enough John Goodman for my taste. Yeah. John Goodman played her American handler, and I gotta say, even when he's working with pretty raw material, he still comes up above. He still doesn't let it sink him. And to be honest, the best part of the movie is just when at the end of the movie he's just with Charlize saying, "Hey, you did good." She's smiles thank you. It's genuine human interaction.
Yeah.
I didn't know this movie had it in it. Yeah, like I said.
This was just a very we get it, you vape kind of spy movie.
Yeah.
We get it, you spy.
I don't think we can top that one. So, Atomic Blonde. Yeah, son, I am disappointed. Son, I am very disappointed. But next week is hopefully a movie that will not disappoint us. The Dark Tower, and a familiar face.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a lot of fun. You get to hear more of Matthew McConaughey drawl talking for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You can't stop what's coming. You can't stop death. All right.
Death is like a flat circle. You reincarnate, you live, and then you die. And then you do it all over again. Want a soda can?
You thought you were a person. But as I said, we should have a familiar face with us, and I'm looking forward to it. So,
me too.
Till next time.